Hey people, you want to watch some good videos today? Because I've got some good ones today. This is going to be a good one. Okay people, I am very, very upset right now. I know that no one's perfect, but my man TheOdd1sOut has just revealed that he has plagiarized. Times I plagiarized! How did I never see this before? James, I thought my favorite YouTuber was perfect. We're going to watch that one, and we're going to watch a few other classics today that somehow I never watched. My thoughts on the Science Fair, I didn't like it. You don't even like science, James? Starting conversations and
Harry the Moth.
the 60 million view Slapperino legend. But first, why did you plagiarize? Why did you do it?
I almost lost a $1,000 scholarship because of plagiarism. Let's talk about that. Plagiarism. Adverb. The practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own. Just the word plagiarism sounds like a crime.
Just so everyone knows, that is not what reaction videos and what I do is.
Just the word plagiarism sounds like a crime. Racism, sexism, and plagiarism.
The
I'm not
three
here to talk about
sins.
people who repost my comics JPEG, cut my name off, and have the audacity to put their own watermark on. No, not that kind of plagiarism. I'm going to tell you about all the times that I plagiarized in school. And okay, just off topic, I want to address something publicly. I don't go looking through other people's comics and go, oh, this comic's funny, I'm going to redraw it and pass it off as my own. No, I'm not about that life. But some of my comics have been very similar to other people's comics. I read a lot of comics, so it's possible I saw them and then repressed them in my memory and drew them again, or it's possible that it's all a coincidence and me and someone else just came up with the same idea. It happens all the time with other cartoonists, not just me. Again,
parallel thinking is what they call that. And oh my gosh, I know an incredible example I'm gonna talk about later in this video. But hey, sometimes people do come up with similar ideas. There's billions of people in the world right now, and there's only so many thoughts a person can have. So believe it or not, some people are gonna think of the same thing, and it's not because they stole it from someone else.
Again, I don't purposely take comic ideas and try and pass them off as my own. Whenever people point out that my comic is a lot like someone else's, I get really sad.
Aww.
So you guys should check out these other cartoonists, they're really good. Anyway, I just wanted to say that at the beginning of the video because I'm going to be telling you about times that I actually did plagiarize.
No,
that was
James.
just in school, okay? I keep plagiarism off the internet. Isn't that right, Matthew? I cheated a bit in school. An occasional glance at my partner's desk, maybe jot down that important equation on my hand, nothing too big.
Okay.
I had a math class where we went to lunch in the middle of the class, and whenever we had tests, the teacher wouldn't split the test into two parts. Do you expect us not to exchange notes? The first time that I got caught cheating was in 9th grade. And if you stalk me and watch my old videos, you know that I went to a preparatory school my freshman year. And in preparatory school, the amount of work they gave you as kids was just stupid. So cut me some slack.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Hey, it's a lot of work. Even the smartest of pupils. There's only so much you can read and write and remember. I said this in a recent video. I had to practice the quadratic formula 50,000 times in school. I don't remember it now. You know why? There's too many other thoughts that a human has to have. So a little taking someone else's notes every now and then, if it gets you by, it gets you by, as long as you're trying. This is not me condoning cheating, I'm just saying.
In one class, we had to write an essay about something historical or something, and I chose to write about the Berlin Wall, specifically about people who escaped across the Berlin Wall. Now, I chose this topic because, I don't know if you know this, but there's a National Geographic documentary about this exact topic. So I didn't copy and paste anything into my essay per se. It's just I told the exact same stories in the exact same order as the documentary, and okay.
But it's how it happened. There's no other order to tell the story, and the story is how it happened.
Okay, I might have wrote some things down word for word, but at least I didn't plagiarize it from Wikipedia, okay? So I didn't copy and paste anything until I had to write the conclusion of the essay, and I found this article talking about it, and the article said some things that would have been perfect in my essay, so Control-C, Control-V.
No!
I turned it in, I didn't think too much of it, but then when I got it back, the conclusion paragraph had been highlighted and a "See Me" was written next to it. So I had gotten in trouble for plagiarizing the conclusion. Just the conclusion. Nothing else.
Bro, it doesn't matter though. If you did all the work up to that point, just, bro, tame the ADHD for long enough to write a conclusion. And listen, I have horrible ADHD. I had horrible ADHD my whole life. I'm never gonna not have horrible ADHD. I know how hard it is, okay? But you're almost at the end, okay? Don't do that.
To be honest, I kind of forgotten that I copied and pasted the conclusion. I thought he knew that I basically turned in a script of a documentary. The teacher, who we'll call Mr. Batman, it makes sense if you knew him, took me outside of the classroom. He told me that it was bad that I plagiarized, and he called my parents that freaking snitch. My parents got mad at me too. He gave me a chance to rewrite the essay, and I remember just being so traumatized and stressed out that night. I kept thinking, what if he finds a documentary and sees that I practically plagiarized the whole essay? I ended up rewriting not only the conclusion, but the whole freaking essay. I turned in the new essay, and I don't think he ever found out that I copied the whole thing. Except I did just admit it, and he watches my videos. Seriously,
James, run! You have to change your name. Move states. In fact, move countries even. He is coming for you. He is the Batman.
Seriously, in April, he emailed me and asked if I was the same James that was in his class. He's the only teacher to ever reach out to me.
Wow.
And even after all those years, I still didn't tell him that I plagiarized the whole thing. So, hi, Mr. Batman.
I'm sorry, Mr. Batman.
You can't change my grade now, can you? But that was a good experience for me to have. It taught me a valuable lesson because I didn't plagiarize a single essay for the rest of high school.
You know how I learned about plagiarism? I learned about plagiarism in grade 4, actually. I had a friend that we hadn't been taught about plagiarism because when you're in grade 4, you don't even think about the possibility of doing something like that. I guess maybe people in grade 4 now do that because everyone has a smartphone and the internet and it's common. But back when I was in grade 4, the thought of pressing copy and paste was just too advanced for our brains at the time. So I had a friend who we had like a poster board assignment where we had to do a project on something and we had to put pictures and then talk about the thing that we're doing or whatever. My friend, he did a bunch of work, but then he also just copy and pasted like long, full pages of words just from the internet. He had no idea he was doing something wrong because he was like 8 or 9 or whatever. And that's how we learned about plagiarism. Oh, that's bad. But like, there was no way that he could have written out all of this documentation at the time. So why wouldn't the teacher have understood that it's just supplementary information? I mean, I didn't take the pictures. This is basically the same thing.
But then community college rolled around. I did community college for a bit because I couldn't afford university on a Subway payroll. I took honors and AP classes in high school. I was a relatively good student, except I didn't take any of the AP tests. So when I went to community college, I had to take classes that were a step below the classes I took in high school. What a great way to spend my time. Senior year of English, we were writing essays analyzing poetry. Freshman year of college, we were writing movie reviews. And the teacher didn't even like me. She thought I was a slacker because I was never paying attention. I didn't take community college seriously, but it was so easy, I was still getting amazing grades.
That is the difficult part, especially with like ADHD and stuff, is like, sometimes if something is too easy, you won't pay attention because it's too easy, and you need it to be kind of almost hard in order to pay attention. That's a very real thing.
On the 3rd semester of community college, I took a public speaking class. Now, I might be an introvert, but I don't have a problem with public speaking. That's part of my job now.
Cool.
I took the class because it would be an easy A, and I needed a communications credit for my major. I wanted to be a math teacher, and you may not have noticed, but they publicly speak all the time. So I take the class, I'm like the best person in the class, right? And for the final, we had to give a persuasive speech in front of everyone. Oh, and by the way, I didn't learn like any tricks to help with public speaking. The whole class was literally just us giving speeches to each other over and over. So 3 semesters of doing easy classes.
Every now and then a James drawing just sends me back. This is a wonderful drawing. I love this so much. I might use this in the thumbnail if it's good enough. I don't know. It's hard to say. This is a fire drawing. This is so funny.
So 3 semesters of doing easy classes and wasting my time, my apathy meters were just off the charts. I didn't want to work too hard, so I chose to do my speech on why we should get rid of the penny. And I don't know if you know this, but there's this YouTube video made by CGP Grey that makes great arguments on why we Americans should get rid of the penny. Again, I didn't copy and paste anything per se.
We did that in Canada.
Just the speech I gave had the exact same arguments in the exact same order as CGP Grey. Okay, it was pretty much a 1-for-1 recreation of this whole
James!
video. I'm sorry, I thought we were getting graded on public speaking, not writing original speeches.
True.
The teacher caught me, I guess she's a fan of CGP Grey, and gave me a 0 on the final. So I ended up getting a D in the class, and that was the worst grade I got in community college. Part of me was like, whatever. I don't care. This next semester though.
It's fine. It's just a D. It's fine. Yeah, if you're not in college/university yet, this is something to be very aware of. Your final exam is worth like half of your grade in a lot of the courses. So enjoy preparing for that stress, just in case you didn't have enough things to fear about for the future. Yeah, that. But no, it's okay. You get used to it, I guess. No, it sucks forever. Yeah.
Whatever. I don't care. This next semester, though, I wanted to go to a real college. And still trying to be economical, I found that it was actually cheaper for me to go to an out-of-state school than to go in-state. At this school, they gave scholarships to out-of-state students who had high enough GPAs and enough credits. Wow. It would have saved me thousands of dollars. Wow. And I had family living in this state, so that was another reason why I wanted to go to that school. But here's the thing. Even with that D, I still had a high enough GPA to get the scholarship, but since I failed, it didn't count as a credit, so I ended up being one credit short for what was required. Plagiarizing was going to cost me thousands of dollars. My options were either stay home and do a 1-credit semester of community college, or beg the university to give me my scholarship anyway.
Can I take a guess? Can I take a guess of what happened? And I could be completely wrong. Actually, I don't know what the second option was. I was just thinking of the first option. If he stayed home and did 1 credit for 1 semester of community college, he probably would have worked on his YouTube channel, and then his YouTube channel did well, and then he stuck with that and didn't have to go to the college. But I'm guessing that's not the case. I thought too soon. My brain acted too fast.
1-credit semester of community college, or beg the university to give me my scholarship anyway. During Christmas, my family visited the state the school was in, so me and my dad got the chance to go to the school and basically talk our way into getting the scholarship. Yes. I talked to 5 different people. Now that's public speaking. Yeah. I had to use my persuasive talking skills that I would have learned. And all of them were telling us, there's nothing we can do. No. But we were talking to one lady. She was telling us the same thing about not being able to do anything. She looked at my transcript. She said, "Oh, you failed public speaking." She looked at it for a bit. She typed something on a computer.
Who cares about that one?
She printed out a piece of paper and handed it to me saying, "It's okay, I'm not good at public speaking either." She thought I was bad at public speaking! She thought I failed.
You could have done it the whole time! All it took was your anecdotal frustrations with public speaking class. So when you said there's nothing we can do, it's there's nothing we can do unless we kind of relate to your situation. Wow. Real classy. College of Nevada. Just kidding. I don't know what college it was.
I was bad at public speaking! She thought I failed because I was insecure or something and not because I did something wrong. Yeah, I'm just terrible at speaking to the public. Yeah. So really, there was something you could do. I got the scholarship because a lady wearing a lot of eyeshadow took pity on me. But I only ended up staying a semester and a half at that school because my YouTube kicked off, and now I'm doing that full-time.
That's what I said.
But I'm still thankful I got the scholarship. I hope my public speaking teacher could see where I am now. I speak in front of millions of people for my job. I mean, I can't see them, and I'm just reading everything off a script in my closet. And I didn't get punished for plagiarism. I didn't learn my lesson, and I didn't learn anything in your class.
Oh no. Yeah, public speaking as making a YouTube video and just talking to a camera is very, very different than talking to a large audience of human beings. If I was doing this for a group of 5 people in front of me, my adrenaline would be on a completely different level. This video could be seen by 1 billion people, and my experience doing this right now is the exact same. So I wouldn't really call what we do public speaking. It's we do speaking and then it goes to the public.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that you watching this right now are an introvert. How do I know this? Because you're watching YouTube videos instead of being outside.
What are you doing on computer? Go outside, so beautiful!
Tommy! I'm an introvert too. I got an email from an 8-year-old once. He said he liked my videos. It was one of the worst emails I ever got. So I'm just gonna briefly explain what introvert means to all the 8-year-olds watching this.
James's Clubhouse.
Hey kids, are you ready to learn? An introvert is a person who doesn't really like to play with other kids. This doesn't make them sad that they're lonely, they just would rather play by themselves. Think of it this way. Has your friend ever asked you to play with them, but you didn't really want to, so you asked your mom to make up a reason for you not to go? If so, then you're probably an introvert, or you just need better friends. Me and my mom had a code word, so if a friend was on the phone who wanted to
make it clear, I don't know if ambivert is a word, but I'm a little bit of both. There's times when I'm very introverted, and there's times when I desperately need humans around me, or else I go even more insane than I already am.
Me and my mom had a code word, so if a friend was on the phone who wanted to hang out, I would say, "Let me ask my mom." And when I asked her if I said the code word, it meant, Mom, make up an excuse so I can't go. I'm not gonna say the code word because I still plan on using it. I actually made a comic kind of similar to this back in 2004.
Wait a minute, James, so that's why when I called you to come over, you said that you had to take your rubber duck to the dry cleaners? Is that why you said that, James? Wow. All this time, I thought your rubber duck was extremely important to you and you had to dry clean it. Now I know the truth. It was the code.
The code. The code. The code.
I actually made a comic kind of similar to this back in 2014, and it's one of my most popular comics, so thanks for liking it. Obviously, it would be one of the most popular comics. I mean, look how great it is. Michael, the creator of Vsauce, hey Vsauce,
Michael here,
has this new YouTube Red show called Minefield, and as of right now, it's the best YouTube Red series.
Wow.
And in the first episode, Michael goes into an isolation room for 3 days. He has no technology, he's all by himself for 3 days.
Wow.
When I first saw this, I thought, hey, maybe I should try that. Yeah, 3 days of nothing but your own thoughts.
Wait a minute, I do that anyways. I'm a YouTuber. That is what it is like sometimes. I think there have been times when I have gone 2 weeks without seeing other people, unless it's to go to the grocery store. But not anymore, you know why?
Because I'm here.
Yeah! When I first saw this, I thought, hey, maybe I should try that. Yeah, 3 days of nothing but your own thoughts. I can think of comic ideas, I can write a book, and I don't even have to write any of these ideas down because everything I say is being recorded. This could be my next vacation. Also, speaking of YouTube Red, hey Susan, I heard you had a new spot open for a Red series.
No!
I have this great idea called YouTuber Swap. It's like Wife Swap, but with YouTubers. Just hit me up if you're interested. Now, don't get the wrong...
James, you are bringing back sad memories for people who were on YouTube 9 years ago, okay? Don't bring up the pain. We have felt the pain. We don't need to be reminded of the pain. Let's forget the pain.
Now, don't get the wrong idea that I'm someone who hates people. I don't. It's just, if we're strangers, then I'd rather not talk to you. Unless you're a stranger who's a fan of my videos, okay? We can talk about me all day. Bringing up a point from the last video, don't be afraid to talk to me. You know, every YouTuber is in a weird position with their fans because if you meet me, you already have a pretty good idea of who I am as a person. For instance, you know how long I wet the bed, but for me, I have no clue how long you wet the bed.
True.
So, what are we talking about? I'm okay with having a conversation with people, okay? It's just that I'm never the one who starts the conversation.
Okay.
But again, this doesn't apply to fans. I like to think that I'm decent with conversation, but I don't really know how good I am at it. I did fail public speaking. But on occasion, there are times when it's awkward not to talk to a stranger. One time in my college years, I got on an elevator to go to a class and another person got on with me. I live a pretty crazy life, I know. And I did what anyone should do in that situation. I didn't say anything to the other person. But then when we got on our floor, you know how the elevator doors are supposed to open?
Oh no,
well, this time it didn't. The doors didn't open. This is an introvert's worst nightmare, by the way.
Yep.
And it wasn't one of those elevators that you could fit a king-size bed into. This elevator was about the size of a red box.
Oh no, no.
Is the door gonna open? It seems like it should open by now. What do you do in that situation? You can't not talk to the person you're now trapped with. So, what class are you going to? Physics? Oh, that makes sense, because this is a science building. Enough time had passed where we started looking up the school's number to tell them that we were stuck.
I keep waiting for Adam's voice to come through. I haven't said anything in the last 30 seconds because it very much looks like James drew this person to look like something else, YT, aka Adam, and I'm waiting to hear his voluptuous voice, and I haven't heard it yet.
Which is what you're supposed to do, right? There's not like a button on the elevator that you can press to call for help, right?
Oh my gosh.
Luckily, while we were doing that, for whatever reason, after a solid 2 minutes, the door decided to open. And just the wave of relief that went over me and this kid. Oh, I thought we'd be in there for hours.
I thought I'd have to talk to you.
I hope I never see you again.
Same. And that's why I'm never going in an elevator again. It's too risky. I think the problem I have is that I'm bad at starting conversations. Normally, if I'm talking to someone who I don't know, I'll ask, so, how was your day? But if your day was anything but good, I don't want to hear it.
Oh, no.
My dog died.
Yeah, be careful, James, because you never know. I don't know if this is because I am on the spectrum, but a major problem I've had in my life is if I've had a bad day and someone asks how my day's been, I'm not gonna tell them it's been fine.
Yesterday say my dog died.
I guess as humans, we're supposed to lie, and when we've had a bad day, just say, oh, fine, or oh, good. But I'm like, no, why would I give you an answer that is not the correct answer? So that's why you gotta be careful, James. If you ask someone like me, how was your day, and my day wasn't good, you're gonna hear about it.
My dog died. Yeah, they do that. Why is
Yeah,
starting
true.
a conversation so hard? I only know like 3 good conversation starters. The first one is, how was your day? And if that doesn't work, I start talking about all this crazy weather we're having. And in Arizona, there's really only one weather, hot. Although it did
There's
rain
one
like 2
weather.
weeks ago. And lastly, if I have nothing else to ask, I hit them with a really hard question.
What color
What
is
color's
my
your
underwear?
toothbrush? Mine's red. To start a conversation,
toothbrush?
what color's your toothbrush?
Okay, we were close. I was making a SpongeBob reference. But that's okay. The infamous Crabborg interrogation.
SpongeBob, you gotta ask him a question first.
Oh yeah. What color is my underwear?
SpongeBob,
What color is my underwear?
It's purple.
Guys, if you ever randomly hear me shout, what color is my underwear? I'm not being weird, I'm referencing that, okay? Just for future reference. What the heck, James? I just realized he did a physique reveal here. How many comments did this photo get, bro? What the heck, James? I don't... All right, James, all right. Maybe he'd been working out recently and was proud of his progress. Go off, James, my king.
Mine's red. To start a conversation, sometimes people will ask, what's your favorite blank? I have nothing against these types of questions. I think it tells you a lot about the person you're talking to, but there's one form of this question that I really hate. And it's the question, what's your favorite candy bar? And I hate this question because my favorite candy bar, and I will stick by my answer no matter what you think, is M&M's.
Ha!
It's not a candy bar.
That is not a bar!
What an astute observation! I'm a very simple man, all right? I like my chocolate pure. Sometimes when people ask this, I think, I should just say Twix. People won't get mad if I say Twix. But then I remember,
I don't like Twix.
Screw Twix, I like M&M's. But James, why don't you just say Hershey's bar? Because Hershey's makes a mess on your hands and they don't come in a convenient bite-sized pieces, while M&M's hard outer shell improves their overall texture. Why am I even having this argument? I had a friend tell me, well, James,
No, M&M's are great. It's just not a bar, bro. Until all of society can unanimously agree to start calling things like M&M's, and if you're Canadian, Smarties, which are to many people superior to M&M's. I like both of them. I wouldn't say one is better than the other, but Canadian Smarties are legendary. Regardless, they aren't bars. They are a lot of things. They are delicious, they are scrumptious, they are bite-sized, but they're not bars. They're not bars.
why am I even having this argument? I had a friend tell me, well, James, I really like Smarties, but I know they're not a bar, so I don't say they're my favorite candy bar.
That's not Canadian Smarties.
First of all, dude, Smarties? Really? That's your favorite candy? And second of all,
Because it's not the Canadian ones! It's not Canadian Smarties. Sorry, let me make this clear to everyone really quick. Smarties, Canada versus USA. This is Canadian Smarties. The American Smarties are called Rockets in Canada. Okay, can we see what Canadian Smarties look like, though? Oh, here we go. Canadian Smarties look like this. They have a harder shell than M&M's, but they're great. Then I am not hip-hop, and I'm just not M&M. Yeah, I like M&M's.
That's your favorite candy? And second of all, the person asking the question honestly doesn't care what my answer is. Why are you asking such a specific question? You're excluding so much other candy.
True.
Candy bars are exclusively chocolate. What if my favorite candy isn't chocolate? What if it's Smarties?
Then the question is candy, not candy bar. If someone's asking about a candy bar, they're talking about a candy bar, not a candy. Many people will ask the question, what's your favorite candy? And they're talking about the candy. And there's not people talking about the bar. They're talking about the bar.
What if my favorite candy isn't chocolate? What if it's Smarties?
Smarties are
did you guys
chocolate
see
in
what I just
Canada.
did there? I was talking about M&M's for like a whole minute. I was having a conversation, all because I was arguing why M&M's are my favorite candy bar. So that's it. That's how you talk to people. You disagree with everything they say and then argue about it. So everyone watching, argue about your favorite candy bar down in the comments.
No, James, no! And on that day, James started a war with 250,000 comments. Person, what is your favorite candy bar? Me, Sprite. Good to see we have all the geniuses out today.
Science Fair. I was talking to a friend saying,
Agreed.
oh, I know, I can do a video about the science fair and, talk about how much it sucks. And she said, oh, at my school, we didn't do the science fair.
What?
That got me wondering. Did other people not do the science fair? So I did my own
did.
science experiment on Twitter. I ran a poll and asked you guys if you even did the science fair and whether or not you enjoyed doing it. And 58% of you said you didn't have to do the science fair. Like, that was way more than I expected.
What?
That's the majority. I've renamed this group of people the lucky ones.
Huh?
And when I asked if you enjoyed doing it, 21% of you said you did enjoy it, and 21% of you said you didn't. I know Twitter polls aren't the most accurate sources of data, but I think it's safe to say that
Twitter in general is not the most accurate source of data, but yes, let's continue.
But I think it's safe to say that this is a pretty split issue. Now, I'm in the 21% of people who didn't enjoy the science fair. And don't get me wrong, I love science. Well, okay, that might not be true. I really hated biology and chemistry. That was just a mess. But physics was
cool.
okay.
That was
Maybe
cool.
I don't like science. I just like space and watching these. Bill and Neil, they're my buddies.
Aw.
Except Neil did hurt my feelings one time. We'll get back to that later. All right, so
Well,
let me...
Neil deGrasse Tyson has said an unfathomably large amount of unbelievably stupid garbage over the years. And I think he likes the smell of his own farts. So I've had more consistent happy feelings towards Bill Nye than Neil deGrasse Tyson. Sorry, guys. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. Let's let James continue.
All right, so let me briefly go over what the science fair is for you lucky ones who didn't have to deal with that. Apparently, it's a very American thing, right, guys?
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Basically, we started doing them, I want to say around 4th grade, and we would do this every year up until the 10th grade. The whole class would spend all day researching a topic that interests them, and then we would have to come up with a question that we could run an experiment on. An example of these questions are,
What
does the
color's my
temperature of a
underwear?
battery affect how long it will last? What color light produces the most heat? How does the shape of a rocket's fins affect its travel? All of which are projects I did.
Good
Basically,
questions.
this was supposed to teach you about the scientific method, but what it really did was teach us how to procrastinate and make up data. And on paper, you might think, oh, that sounds like fun. I wish my school did the science fair. No. Here are some flaws with the science fair. First, you got the option to work with a partner. And of course, you want to work with a partner so you can split up the work and not do as much.
Yeah.
Now, since I didn't have any friends, I would partner up with someone that no one else wanted to partner up with.
Oh, no! The curse of antisocialness. James, I completely relate to this. Oh, no. Those ages when, like, if you don't have homies in the class, or if you're too much of a goofball yourself, that people don't pick you. There were certain classes where I didn't have enough real homies who understood how truly brilliant of a mind they were dealing with. I had certain classes where I had to pick up the scraps, or other people had to pick up the scraps, and the scraps were me. However you want to look at it, you can't always pick your partners, but you can pick your nose.
Partner up with someone that no one else wanted to partner up with, but they wouldn't do any of the work. I only did the science fair with a partner once. From 5th grade on, I did my science fair projects alone. The second problem is that we had to
Sigma.
come up with a question all on our own. And you gotta understand, we were just kids. We don't think as cognitively as scientists do, okay? Just a couple years ago, we still believed in Santa Claus, except for me, my family didn't do Santa Claus. And now you want us to wonder—
James, I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't come for my man Santa, James, okay? Don't gaslight me, James. Don't gaslight me about Saint Nick. Enough of that.
Except for me, my family didn't do Santa Claus. And now you want us to wonder if the ratio of a cylinder will affect its buoyancy? Like, come on. And also, we don't have access to any resources. You know, the science fair is a lot like an episode of Mythbusters. But what sets apart the Mythbusters from your average 4th grader is that they're really smart engineers who have access to explosives.
True.
Well, we can't even drive to Walmart ourselves. We have to ask our parents to take us.
True.
One year, I wanted to do an experiment on a certain type of soil, so I did research, I wrote everything all up, but then when I went to Home Depot to buy the soil, they didn't even have it! So I had to pick a
No!
new topic and start all over again. Now do you see why I think the science fair sucks? So
Yeah.
okay, I think it would have been better in elementary school if we were assigned a question. I know the whole point of these things is about discovery, but we're all stupid, okay? I guess if you were anything like me and you chose a question, you'll have a bad science fair. My very first science fair, after all day researching possible questions, me and my partner came up with a question: what time of the day is the hottest?
What color is my
Now, I already
underwear?
know the answer to this question, and in 4th grade, I'm sure I already knew the answer to this question too. It's noon. Like, I don't need to run an experiment.
Is it noon? It doesn't feel like that in the hot summer days when like 3 or 4 p.m. hits and the sun is like hitting you at an angle and apparently UVA and UVB is the harshest. To me, that always felt like exceptionally hot, you know what I'm saying? But noon, I mean, okay, I didn't know. I mean, that is a very simple Google for the last 2 decades, it would be. Yeah, maybe not worth a project on, but that's okay. Go off, my king.
Like, I don't need to run an experiment on that. In fact, I can just go to Google and seriously just type weather and boom, there's my data right there. No need for an experiment.
Yup.
But the science fair isn't just finding the answer to your question. No. First, after you research the topic, you have to write a hypothesis. A hypothesis is basically you guessing what you think the result of the experiment will be, but you don't write it down as I think this will happen. No, you write it like
If,
you
then,
know
because.
what's going to happen. A formula, science, for a perfect hypothesis is if blank, then blank, because blank. Let's use my battery experiment. I said,
I'm not a stupid idiot! I haven't had to do a hypothesis in over a decade, and I still remember. Because, I mean, to be fair, hypotheses are a thing that apply to us in this life, in this world. You shouldn't just say things for no reason. Things need to have a cause and a reason for the cause, you know? If, then, because. If you watch RobertIDK's videos on a regular basis, you will be a happier human being because he is the most educational non-education channel on the internet and his videos slap every time. You don't even need to question it, you just know when you click on it. This is a real hypothesis that has been tested and proven over the years.
I said, does the temperature of a battery affect how long it will last? So after doing research about how batteries work, a hypothesis for this experiment would be, if 2 AA batteries are used at different temperatures, then the battery in the hot temperature will not last as long because the battery's fluid will evaporate, which damages the internal structure of the battery.
Is that a
and
thing?
Spoiler alert, no, it doesn't. I put 2 batteries outside, 2 in the freezer, I let them sit, and then I plugged them into my Game Boy
freezer was
Advance, and
bad.
they lasted the exact same amount of time.
What?
I learned nothing.
What?
So you also have to write up the material.
I thought that the cold thing was real. I always heard that. Okay, whatever.
So you also have to write up the materials you use for the experiment. Then you have to write up the steps to do the experiment.
Directions.
The procedures. And
Procedures.
you also have to write an introduction, basically just bull trapping what you're
Introduction.
going to do. Then you do the experiment, aka the fun part. Make sure you write down your results because you have to make a
Observations.
graph. You have to. How do you make a graph to show that batteries at different temperatures lasted the same amount of time? They did.
Okay. Yeah, no, let me think. Time the battery battery existence. I guess they probably, if it were Game Boy times, they wouldn't have a battery percentage, so it would be, you wouldn't be able to have a 2-thing graph. You would just be able to have, okay, this is how you do it. The temperature here, three different bars, 3 different controls, and then length of time they work, and it would be 3 equal bars. There you go. Yeah, you could do a bar graph for that.
Different temperatures lasted the same amount of time. They did. You think you're done, right? But no, you gotta write up the results as if your graph didn't already perfectly depict that, and a conclusion. The conclusion is like the most insulting part of the science fair. You basically go through this checklist
in case you didn't read the whole rest of it. Here's the TLDR for all of you people who can't read.
You basically go through this checklist of questions that you answer. Was your hypothesis correct? No, my hypothesis was not correct. What mistakes could you have made in your experiment? I don't know, maybe I took the batteries out of the cold and hot and put them in a room temperature Game Boy, and in a couple of minutes they both went to a room temperature. I don't know. How can others use this information you found? What do you mean? All the batteries lasted the same. I don't think anyone is going to put their batteries in their freezer to have literally no effect. All right, and then you take everything you wrote, print it out, and then slap it onto a poster board. And everyone, and I mean everyone, would use construction paper as a border around the text to give the poster board a good aesthetic. I think the second most fun part of the science fair was choosing what word art font you would use for your title.
Nice.
Oh, and by the way, the teachers told us to have a creative title to catch people's attention. Like, that was part of the assignment.
And that's how you became such a good YouTuber, James. If James had to do this now as a YouTuber, this is what he would call it. The battery situation is crazy. Battery situation is insane. Wow, mind-blowingly original title. Shout out to all the creators who use that title format. You are true scholars and creative geniuses.
Like, that was part of the assignment. We got graded on the title. Basically, they were telling us to create puns for a grade. If you're doing a project that's measuring plant growth, Ready, Set, Grow. That was a very popular
that's
choice.
A slapper.
And then everyone took their poster boards and presented it in front of the whole class. Those were the 3 most boring days of science ever, except for the day you presented. That was the most stressful day. And then after all of that, everyone in the school put their poster board up in the cafeteria, and then it was fun to walk around and see how other people decorated their poster board, and you could always tell whose mom helped them. So overall, I didn't have a good time. Those 21% of people who did enjoy it, I'm glad you liked it, but me and the other 21% of people think you're huge nerds. And when I asked that Twitter question, I had some people messaging me saying, yeah, I got 3rd place and all I had was a cup of dirt, ha 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 ha.
What?
And that made me wonder, wait, it was a competition? So I think the key to a good science fair is to come up with a good question and also do a topic that you actually enjoy.
True.
One science fair, I did an experiment on rockets and I had a blast. That would have been a good title. But for another year, I did What Color Light is the Hottest?
What color is my underwear?
Thermometer and switched out the bulbs. And I'll let Neil say what he thinks about that whole project.
Okay, red light is warmer than blue light. Interesting discovery, but not exactly revolutionary.
Whoa.
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, just completely discredit all my research. I'm fine. So, moral of the story, if you need an idea for a science fair project, do it on rockets. You don't even need a question. Just launch model rockets.
So here's the thing.
Yeah, I got 3rd place and all I had was a cup of dirt. Ha ha ha.
I think Jack Sparrow has actually given a great case study as to how to do a presentation like this. And it is all about the enthusiasm. James talked about how he did a project about a cup of dirt. Maybe his grade wasn't so great, but James, if you just had the enthusiasm that Captain Jack Sparrow had, you would have gotten an A for sure. Look at this, people. Look at this.
Come to negotiate, eh? Have you, you slimy git? Look what I got. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. And guess what's inside it?
See, you can really inspire visceral reactions from people with nothing but more than a jar of dirt.
I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt.
All right, but enough about the dirt. We've been waiting this entire video for this moment. My friends, we are gonna watch the most legendary story with 60 million views. Does your favorite creator have a 60 million view video? I bet they don't. I sure don't. Harry the Moth. This is Harry!
Sparta!
This is Sparta! That's my best one of those right now. I will check back in 3 months and let you know how my best This is Sparta is.
For some reason, everybody thinks butterflies are better than moths. We make children's books about butterflies, we use them as metaphors of change. You might be an ugly caterpillar now, but soon you'll grow into a beautiful butterfly. We go into fields and frolic around trying to catch them, and some people even have a collection of them.
Yep.
Granted, the people who do collect them do so by impaling the butterflies. But whatever, it's still a compliment. How many other insects can say that they get this much affection?
Yeah.
Maybe praying mantises. Where I come from, every time you see a praying mantis, you have to point it out like, whoa, guys, look, a praying mantis! And then you just look at it.
Yeah, because praying mantises are horrifying monsters that are shrunk down to a small size. If praying mantises were the size of us, humans would be extinct. I just wanted to let you guys know that. If praying mantises were the same size as us, none of us would exist. We wouldn't be alive. Our parents wouldn't be alive. Our grandparents' would have never lived because praying mantises would have exterminated us many centuries ago. So yeah, I'm not a big praying mantis fan, but shout out to Young Tales. If James is about to talk about how moths don't get enough love despite being very similar to butterflies, I totally agree with that. Let's go, James.
Look, a praying mantis, and then you just look at it. Anyway, back to the point. Moths, on the other hand, are like the white trash versions of butterflies.
Aww.
Even though moths and butterflies are practically the same creature, for some reason we give moths a bad rap.
Yeah.
We laugh at them for flying into light bulbs. Butterflies would do that too if they want to sleep at night. Moths are so attracted to bright light that they'll follow it even if it kills them.
Aww.
You might think that this sort of behavior makes them stupid, but I like to think that this just shows how dedicated they can be. We also get mad at moths for eating our clothes, but if butterflies like the taste of our clothing, they wouldn't hesitate hesitate to chomp down on our laundry.
Yeah.
Actually, butterflies probably think that they're too good for your clothing.
Yeah.
They only eat the fine things in life, like flowers. You hear that? Butterflies think they're too good for your
I'm a
t-shirts.
butterfly and I'm a stupid snob. What the heck, butterflies? Remember where you came from. Caterpillars is what you came from, I guess. That wasn't where I was planning that sentence on going, but here we are.
You hear that? Butterflies think they're too good for your t-shirts. In Arizona, we have your normal run-of-the-mill moths. You know the type, small, gray.
Word.
They look like a paper airplane made by someone who didn't know how to make a paper airplane. But we also have a moth called the white-lined sphinx moth.
Whoa,
and these moths
beautiful.
are like the Godzilla of the moth world. Which, actually, I'm pretty sure there is a giant moth in the Godzilla world.
Mothra.
This again just shows how much we don't like moths. We turn them into city-destroying monsters.
Yeah, what
when
the
will
heck?
The hate end?
Literally, horrible frame to end on. I only know of one butterfly that has ever been put in a negative context, and it's the Butter Souls.
Exotic butters.
Butter Souls? Dark Souls butterfly, okay? Moonlight butterfly. This is the only time. And this butterfly boss is incredibly easy, but if you are not prepared with something that is rangy, or if you can't summon the summon, then it can be a pain, but it really should be one of the easiest bosses in the entire game. But this is the only time I've ever seen a butterfly put in any kind of negative context. Moths, on the other hand, are treated like they treat me like a criminal. Why is the rum always gone?
Turn them into city-destroying monsters. When will the hate end? I'm sure when they filmed Mothra's scenes in the Godzilla movie, they didn't even use any special effects. They just used a normal white-lined sphinx moth. Those things could beat up hummingbirds if they wanted.
Wow.
One night when I was 5 years old, one of these big boys was hanging around at our porch light, cause, you know, moths, they just love themselves some glowing
like
balls
moths.
of heat. And then when someone opened the door, the moth saw all the other light inside and just flew straight in. More light? This place is absolutely glimmering! Its fate was sealed as soon as it crossed over the threshold. I don't know what the moth did once he was inside our house, but whatever it was, it sure tired him out.
Is this
Because
Harry
next
the
morning,
Moth?
my sister and I found him on the kitchen windowsill just lying there, doing absolutely nothing. He was probably thinking about the outside world and being with his moth brethren, but he'd pretty much given up trying to escape. Because me and my sister just scooped him up and put him into a jar. And
Harry!
he became our new pet. My sister decided to name him Harry. Now, some moths are actually quite hairy, but this moth wasn't hairy at all. So that name didn't make any sense.
Where do you have to go to find those crazy moths? We have all seen pictures of these furry moths, but we've never actually seen them. Is this in the jungles of Nepertoire? Like, where are these moths from?
Furry or fuzzy moths such as the rosy maple moth, Luna moth, or various flannel moths are best found in wooded areas, deciduous forests, and suburban.
No, but where in the world? Where in the world? Venezuela for the elusive poodle moth. Is this a poodle moth? Oh my gosh, the elusive poodle moth. This is actually kind of adorable. This doesn't even look real. Sweetheart, look at this. You seen these bad boys?
Yeah, I've seen the fluffy moths before.
They're real. Don't they look like they shouldn't even be real?
They're cute though. It's like a little Pokemon.
I know, it's incredible. You wouldn't even think they're real, but they're real. Okay, yo, shout out Venezuela. Y'all literally have Pokemon and y'all don't even flex it, which is insane. Anyways, I've never seen one, but I love moths because they are sweet and they are misunderstood. And I like them, and you hate them compared to how much I like them. Sorry, let me hit that better. You can leave that in though. Oh, I like them. I like them first. You hate them compared to how much I like them. Shut up, you're so annoying.
Now, some moths are actually quite hairy, but this moth wasn't hairy at all. So that name didn't make any sense, but we were 5, so it didn't have to. Hey guys, don't get too attached to Harry. We poked holes in the lid, we put leaves and sticks in his jar, which might have been a good idea if he was still a caterpillar, but I don't think moths eat leaves. Do they eat leaves? We probably should have just put in a t-shirt. We thought we were taking good care of him. My mom apparently didn't like Harry. She said, I have a good idea. Why don't you take Harry to your kindergarten class tomorrow and I don't know, maybe he can be the class pet there.
Yeah,
this is back when I thought
funny.
my mom had good ideas. So we decided to take Harry to school, because think of how cool you would be as a 5-year-old showing all your classmates the giant moth you captured.
Yeah.
Looking back at the situation, having a class pet whose lifespan that won't make it to the end of the school year isn't a smart idea.
True.
The teacher probably didn't want to have to come to school one day and explain to a room full of 5-year-olds why the class pet was lying on its back and not moving.
Yo, actually, crazy story. I actually went to a cottage when I was like literally 6 in grade 1. I went to my dad's friend's cottage and we got a bunch of tadpoles and we brought them into my grade 1 class and they were our class pets for the year. How is that a thing? I feel like that would never happen in the world today. Everyone is so worried and concerned about everything. You remember when people used to relax and be like, oh, this boy brought in tadpoles, let's raise them for the rest of the school year. Do you know how many people would have to sign off on that now? I'm sorry to anyone who's in grade 1 now. If you're in grade 1, you're probably a little too young for my videos. I'm gonna keep it real, but that is what we had. It was pretty cool, and we saw the tadpoles grow legs and stuff. It was epic.
Class pet was lying on its back and not moving. So the teacher suggested, what if we release Harry at recess? Now, a lot of kids' movies that have animals in them, the animals usually don't like being captured. The animals want to be free and live out in the wild.
Yeah.
Think Finding Nemo, Spirit, Happy Feet, Free Willy. It was common knowledge to every 5-year-old that all the creatures walking on this green earth wanted to live in the wild. So we were more than happy to put Harry back in his home. When it came time for recess, we all walked outside and were excited to be part of the newly instituted Catch and Release Moth program. We were like those people who put beached whales back in the ocean, except in this metaphor, the whale was already in the ocean minding its own business, and then 2 dumb kindergartners put it in a plastic baggie and then moved it miles away from its home. It was supposed to be a happy moment seeing Harry get rehabilitated in the moth society. But what actually happened was a lot darker. We gathered around the teacher.
Or a lot lighter, because it was the daytime. And moths don't like the daytime? I don't know what's about to happen.
Yeah, so I better just shut up.
We gathered around the teacher. She opened the jar, but Harry didn't fly out, so then she had to shake Harry out of the jar. We've already established that Harry isn't that
air
smart.
in the jar.
Eventually, he finally understood that he was free. The whole sky was waiting above him. He flew upward, wings fluttering, ready to reclaim his moth life. Well, turns out there's a good reason giant moths only come out at night. And that's mostly because of camouflage and the fact that their predators are asleep. Harry had neither of those advantages at our playground in the middle of the day. Not 10 seconds had gone by when a bird from a nearby tree swooped down and grabbed Harry. Harry was a free moth for a good 10 seconds before his painful, inevitable death. Immediately, the entire kindergarten class began screaming. My sister ran after the bird, demanding that he released Harry. Unfortunately, birds don't listen to those sorts of demands. Am I right, Jaden?
Ari, sit. Ari, roll over. Ari, stay. No. Speak.
Release the raspberry!
So then the teacher had to give us the talk about how nature is a lot scarier than it is in movies. Basically, the circle of life involves a lot of death. But on the bright side, we totally made that bird's day. He was just sitting in a tree, probably wishing Arizona.
On the bright side, it's outside. The whole thing is the bright side, and that's the exact problem. You know what's funny? If you're talking to a moth and you say, well, on the bright side, that's the bad side to them. If you're speaking to a moth and you're talking about the better version of something, you need to be saying, well, on the dark side, because for a moth, the dark is better. You know what I'm saying? Anyone? All right, tough crowd.
Probably wishing Arizona had more worms, and then boom, free meal. I wonder what I'm going to eat.
Oh,
whack.
Gosh.
For all we know, that could have been the bird's first time eating a moth. I'm sure that bird told all of his bird friends.
You will
totally
never
didn't
guess
believe
the
him.
creature I
Dude,
discovered.
I just caught a moth, like one of the big ones, yeah. I know they're nocturnal, but it was just flying around in the middle of the day.
He's flexing.
No, I'm telling the truth. Dude, there were like 30 children who all saw me. Ask any one of them and they'll tell you I caught that moth. I don't remember what happened.
Yeah, that's Cap. Harold, I know Cap when I hear it. Stop squawking! Okay, sorry. Guys, I'm still recovering from being sick and my voice is very weird and it cracks a lot when I try to raise it. Stop squawking, Harold! We have to do some vocal rehab, but that's okay, guys. We're still killing it.
I don't remember what happened for the rest of the day during school, but I'm pretty sure we didn't get much done. When we got home, me and my sister tearfully told my mom about how Harry had met his doom. My mom said that she was trying not to cry, but I think she was lying.
That's
I don't
a
think she was as
complete
emotionally
lie.
attached to Harry as we were. Harry was only a part of our lives for a couple of hours, but years have passed and me and my sister still talk about Harry. Just randomly in conversation, one of us will ask, hey, do you remember Harry? Yeah. And now a random moth that died 15 years ago will be remembered forever in our hearts. If only Harry was alive to see what he would have become. I want to share with you some pictures I've saved in Harry's scrapbook.
Really?
Here are Harry's baby pictures. Here's Harry's first apartment.
Okay.
And here's the last thing Harry ever saw.
No! No! Harry, your memory will live on forever. And we are so sad that you have gone. And people, the only thing more sad than this story, if you can believe this, the only thing more sad than this story is the people who have not watched the other Odd Ones Out videos in this series. Can you believe it? Some people have not seen every Odd Ones Out video that I've done, and if you haven't seen it, you have to click on this and see it. Oh my gosh, it's so sad. You have to see it. Also, here's a video that YouTube thinks you're liking. This is James's channel, guys.